Caner Universe, it's Caner Tip Tuesday, and today, does this answer your question? This is based on a survey where we asked questions, and one of them had to do with if we had a 5-minute conversation, what's the one thing you want to know? There's a very good chance that your question is answered here today, so don't go anywhere. And before we get started, a warm welcome to all. Go ahead and avail yourself of the free resource that is the no-cost Cane Clarity Call. You do that by texting the letter CCC to the number on the screen. In less than 24 hours, we will be on a call. And guess what? Based on this survey, say, you have 5 minutes with me. You have a lot more than 5 minutes, and it doesn't cost you a penny, and I'll go ahead and address your questions. But pretty good chance. And listen, I want to preface everything by saying thank you, because we got more responses than we had planned for. So I can't go over all the questions here today, but there's a good portion of the questions. And here's the first one. Let's jump right in. How do I get started when I have a lack of fitness? Well, I'm going to answer that by saying, if you want, if you need to get cleaned, how do you do that before you go into the bath and into the shower? And the answer to that is you jump right in, right? You don't try to clean and wash off before you go in there. The purpose of the training is that you will get started in a way. The first thing we're going to do is get inventory and find out what you can and cannot do. Okay, and the coaches are very good at doing that. And then we're going to take those principles and meet you right where you are, taking into consideration injuries, limitations, and the overall lack of fitness. Because what do we know about our caners, our audience, which, by the way, listen, we always say it's an over 50 audience. The demographics are the average age is 68. The senior most is 84. I have 3 octogenarians at the master's level. That means they've been through leader, they've been through advanced, and they're in masters. 2 of them have already graduated there, and we couldn't be prouder of that. On the other end of the spectrum, I think the youngest one has been in their 20s. Can you be younger than 50 and benefit from this? Of course, the sooner you get started, the better. But here's the thing. We're very good with the over 50 when there's injuries, limitations, and there's a lack of fitness, because what we know is that physicians have been trying to get our guys to move, to exercise, but you don't like to exercise, but you love to cane with us. And in trying to do the skills, guess what? You're moving. And we don't make medical claims, but we do say that when you start moving the way that we teach you with a cane, good things happen. So stop preparing to get in shape to start training with the cane. You will get in better fitness when you follow the game plan. And you're going to do it safely. You're going to do it enjoyably without more wear and tear. So it's a good question. And I hope that we are clear with that. What's the most important element to master in the cane game? And the answer to that one is, ready? You. Really, I imagine that you are referring to the physical aspect of it, but I'm here to tell you that progress comes from doing. ACSD is from doing. And when you master you, then you get the discipline, to do the things that you have to do. And a lot of it has to do with attitude, but keeping the proper perspective of what it takes. This is something that most of us, we use the term in ACSD. We gave life to the phrase caner for life. Caner for life. Raise your hand if you're watching this and you're a caner for life. Many of you are going up there, grabbing the cane and going up here with the cane fist. And some of you are going, what does that even mean? But it means that it has to be something that you can do and do long term, but it comes with mastering your mind game for all the excuses and all the reasons that you share. And you did that, and I'll be sharing some of this because we asked several questions, moving forward. But how, the most important thing is, how do I get motivated? How do I get it? Because it requires discipline. It requires discipline. So you got to master the self first, and then you move on. Will I be doing a canergetics course? Thank you for your interest in that. Canergetics is the healing component of what we do. And if we do that, we're going to do it as a separate certification. It's interesting under the topic of healing. There are many that, the majority love Sobrevivencia. I wonder if you understand how important the concept of healing and proper care of the frame and the body is to the founder of SV. It's built in there. So thank you for your interest in that. Can you really generate power? And not shown with your instructor. So I assume that this is, can you generate power, with the cane? Well, if you dial back and you understand, I'm the fellow who came out with the power shot. It's called power shot template. And the way that was, back in the day when we did that, and this is 30 years ago. So I was powerlifting. I come from a background in powerlifting. I was built like I was a horse, basically. And I could take, a 39-inch metal cane. It was a 2-pound cane, and boom, go. There's video of me training in a gym, and you see what I look like there. And from there came the power, speed, and accuracy. So those power shots. We're asking the wrong question. I mean, I understand the linear thinking of, can you really generate power with that? This isn't about the cane, and this isn't about how much power you can generate. The question is, how much power do you need to generate to accomplish what it is, what the outcome is? What is that outcome? And with ACSD and SV, it's the minimum that you have to do. Check this out. We want to prevent a fire. If we absolutely can't prevent a fire, we're going to need the skill sets to kick in a timely fashion, right? Bypass the freeze response so that they're there for you when you need them. And then what is it that you need? How much power do you really need to get out of a jam? To destroy the attack, right? Not necessarily the attacker, so that you can get out. You're never going to hear it from me or any of the associated brands. Well, the idea was to destroy a human being. The idea was to... Listen, I get that. I come from that, both from tactical and from martial art, and I get that. But we don't teach village methods. You live in a society that's governed by laws. How much power do you need to go ahead, and how can you abbreviate that? Who cares that I can take this, super heavy cane and come up, and who are you going to hit? Because by the time you go like this to race, I'm out. And always assume that your opponent is going to be bigger, stronger, faster, younger, because here's the thing, they probably are, So the training is not for you to do this with the sewer. How much power? It's pop, 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 pop. Everything is educated in where do I strike? How do I strike? Given the resources that I have and the starting point that I am, because you can't tell, criminal, hold on, not at this stage of my training. I'm not powerful enough yet. Doesn't work that way. Does not work that way. So we're asking the wrong question from a functional perspective. What's the time commitment, the physical requirements, and the cost to get involved, with cane training? And so the time commitment is going to be, if you're going to start off, everybody starts off ACSD core foundational work. You're looking at 2 days a week for 30 minutes of instruction, whether you show up live or you're getting the recording. And then you're going to take the homework and do that. Now, posting that homework for evaluation, the actual doing, for evaluation, it takes about 2 minutes. It's never going to be longer than 2-minute post, but it's the behind the scenes where you're doing the work, right? I always say, what you're seeing in the light, you didn't see the work that was done in the dark. That's up to you. That can be 10 minutes every day. That could be 30 minutes. That could be an hour twice a week. It all depends on your schedule. But there's different ways to go about it. It is not about marathon training. More is not better. Better is better. Do it right. Go slow so that you can go fast, so that you don't get the injuries. And then, it sets you back. And then the cost is right on the website. Go there. We discounted, for instance, the foundational course was discounted $100. So instead of $297, it's just $197. You have lifetime access to it, and it's totally self-paced. let me rephrase that. Budget also, if you're budgeting, budget for the empty hand. You have the option of just doing the cane or doing the cane with the empty hand, but those of you coming in today, you have the advantage that years ago we recorded the empty hand 6-week challenge that corresponds with the cane. When you're first coming in brand new, they'll bundle it for you. You get a $250 discount on it. So for less than the cost of an high-end cane these days, you can get trained with the cane and the empty hand. So that's for less than $400. A lot less than $400. Okay, so and you don't have to do both. You can just do the cane, but it's not the way I set this thing up. It's designed so that you learn it cane and empty hand. The concept of cane flow into regular training, how does that work? Typically, ACSD, the core is a 4-level system: leader, advanced, master, senior master. It's at the advanced level that you begin to learn the dance, the footwork. Before that, at the leader level, you want to learn how to be effective with a cane in the first 2.5 hours to where people can't just randomly come put their hands on you because you're forced to be reckoned with. You're skilled with the cane. You can stop a threat. Let's just say that you know what the law is. You work within that, you respect that if you're an ACSD caner. And then in advance, it's the, hit and don't get hit, and it's where you work with the footwork. If you're an ACSD caner going through core, you are better prepared for flow than you are if you're doing anything else, okay? And it's just a matter of your writing in print, whereas with flow, you're writing more in cursive and even shorthand eventually. So stick with it. And yes, we are looking to do a cane flow curriculum. Can I complete the training if I don't get my shoulder fixed? The answer to that is we're not going to. My quick reflex, the answer is yes. And I'm going to explain why. But I preface that. I say it with always get medical clearance if you need to get medical clearance. But here's the deal. First of all, think of it this way. Caners don't care that you have a busted shoulder, a bad knee, you're overweight, you had a stroke and you can only use one side of the body. All these physical, they're just looking for opportunity, right? And so ACSD will meet you where you are with the principles. Coach Ron, who is the gatekeeper at the foundational course, just taught a whole 6-week challenge with on his left side, and the other arm he had surgery, so he had it in a sling. So ACSD shows you how to work both sides. That's a form of brain training. It's like algebra. Whatever you do to one side, you do to the other. But now, since I don't have this side, we're going to really focus on this one. ACSD also has a way of turning injuries into victories. That's all I'm going to say about that. Okay, but the short answer is yes. Call the head coach. Let's have a conversation. Let's get a plan for you. No, you don't pay any more because you have injuries and the coaches have to work with you and things like that. That's not how we do it. Will we ever have evening classes? I don't know that. Not now. But an ACSD policy is you always have access to the recordings. Let's see. This is my friend Terry, our fellow caner. How can I recover from X3 training? I happen to use the X3, that's variable resistance training. I'm not going to obviously demo that here, but Terry, that should actually remove some of the stress on your joints. I like it more so than, and I'm an iron head for life, lifting and all that. And, the iron after a while on the joints is tough, especially the way I did it. But I love the extra. Any form of massage therapy, the forms of body work. I'm really big. I'm a body worker myself. And, that increases circulation and lymphatics and that kind of thing where you can reset the nerve system. I'm all for it. Let's talk about that because we can really dig into that. And do I really think it's possible to learn the cane and the empty hand from video? No, I don't. That's why I do this. I don't know who asked that, but obviously I'm being facetious. Yeah. The biggest setback, one of the biggest things that you're going to have to deal with is this whole idea that, if you're old school, it has to be in person. I'm looking for in person. Stop doing that. I get it, but stop doing that because you're not going to find that unless you're local. My ACSD trainers, not only that, ACSD is a movement-based system. It lends itself beautifully to at-home solo training. What you need is a set of trained eyes. You need the curriculum, the step-by-step, and then someone to give you the correctives. And then if we do have the in-person training 2 times a year, it's a big event in Miami. It's called Cane Immersions. Fall Cane Immersion always happens in February. I said that backwards. Winter Cane Immersion in February. Fall Cane Immersion always in September. And it's a 4-day training, 17 hours. Myself, my Cerise comes in as well. And you get a lot of the hands-on stuff. But please stop with the whole, oh, it has to be in person or it doesn't work. While you're saying that, literally hundreds of caners are getting trained all the way. And I'm talking all levels from leader all the way to masters. And just so many benefits. You're wasting time with that. The technology today, matter of fact, the technology today gives you advantages that we didn't have back in the day with just in-person training. And if you're an instructor and you do in-person training, you know what I'm talking about. If you come to class on Monday and you come to class on Thursday, I give you the homework to do, you came to class Monday, you didn't do it because you're relying on that Thursday class. If you did do it, we didn't get to see you, right? So if you're doing things wrong, we're gonna have to correct it on Thursday. With this system, we get to see the way that you're practicing before your next class, so it ensures that you're doing things correctly. How do I stay so motivated to pursue cane training daily and often? That's a great question. How do you stay motivated to eat? Because you're hungry. Guess what? I'm hungry. I need to do this. It's right up there with, you have 4 natural laws of the body, right? You got to move, you got to eat, you got to sleep, and you got to cleanse internally and externally. And for me, I have a 5th one. I have to cane. I have to cane every day, like the maestro says. I know it's tough to understand if you're not at that point, but you got to get started. Here's what the nutshell version of it is: when you start producing endorphins, you start feeling good, and you realize that you can be of better service to others, which is the real reason that you train. I know you're all into self-defense and all that, and that's important. Not going to undermine that, but it's not the main thing. You haven't realized that yet. But I stay personally motivated because I need it. It's like you need to eat, right? Okay. How effective is online training? I have a training part. I have a bob bag. Great. You don't even need a bob bag. If you have a bob bag, that's great. It's great for the anatomical targeting. It's great to have a stack of tires or something, a bag that you can feel what that's going to transfer like in the rest of your body when you're making contact. But the most important thing is a cane and get the instruction, right? The instruction, get a cane, and whether it's indoors, outdoors, make sure you have enough room that you're not going to break anyone or anything, I always say. And then just do it. Follow the game plan. The curriculum is designed to take you through that. How effective is it? Super effective. One of the things we throw out there, hey, over 500 certified caners cannot be wrong. It's very effective. But let's talk about that. Am I going to be teaching advanced or masters in the future? Not if I can help it. And what I mean by that, and by the way, this is a caner, one of our advanced caners. I know who he is, and it was great to hear from him in this questionnaire. Let me explain. So right now I do teach masters. I lead all the masters classes, but you have Coach Ron over at Leader. You have Doc Stoll, who does a wonderful job over in Advanced. There's no need for me to go in either one of the directions, nor is that how I serve you best right now. I'm doing masters now. I'm enjoying it, doing it, but I've been very upfront. If you want to train with me personally, the time to do it is now. Catch me in masters, because soon I may very well turn that class over as well, because I have other things to focus on that unfortunately only I can do it. These things, we have very well trained instructors. Who doesn't love Doc Stoll? Who doesn't think that Coach Ron is doing a wonderful job at the leader level? We're good there. I apologize for not being able to stick with the program. Never apologize for that. Let's just have a conversation about how to get back on the saddle and do that. No, I don't have any bamboo canes. How do I get motivated? This is a great question when several parts of my body are not following, giving me great discomfort. Okay, so listen, you're in pain. How do you stay motivated when you do that? You have to circumvent that and not aggravate those injuries. Let's work the other side of the body. Let's work sitting down. There's different ways of doing it, and let's see what you actually can do. ACSD is about focusing on what you can do as opposed to what you can't. You gotta make, I know it sounds crazy. Maestro Reese said it the other day, and I'm not gonna get into this. He said it the other day. He said, if I have an injury, I can't use my left shoulder, that's actually gonna be an advantage for me. And everybody was like, what? And part of it had to do with strategy, right? Because you, as an opponent, see this as a weakness and you go to target here, and yet I've trained myself to lure you into that side because I have this one applicant, this. Look, you have to take inventory of where you're at, and then go from there, but it can be done. I trained with a torn Achilles. I couldn't, get, and yet you couldn't get near me with the handling, right? Because then that becomes the strong point. How do I acid test my skills without a partner? Acid test, you mean pressure test. How do you do that without a partner? There's a way. We did this in the Cobra is reality-based training. We did that with the cane, showing people how to create an adrenaline response so that you can test yourself there. But there are other things to work on without a partner that still can stress you, and let's see how good you are with that. How accurate are you? I'm making this up, right? Using an example. Are you accurate enough to take that cane, take a shot, and hit the tip off of Bob's head when you're under the duress, when you're under fatigue? Can you fatigue yourself, pick it up, boom, and go? And there's ways that you can train yourself. Part of it is, I'll give you a little hint, is using the watch and then going through a particular skill set. The idea is to mimic the adrenaline response. Okay, you can do that. You need something that you can make contact with. You may need some props, but certainly it can be done. You improve cane flow. How do I improve cane flow? We got several questions about that. Here's ready, and I'm not being facetious. It's by doing cane flow. Cane flow makes you better. If you're an ACSD caner, are you posting on Cane Flow Friday? Are you doing that? Because when you do that, just trust me on this, you get better. You get better, and we will have a cane flow specifically curriculum. Look, there's a lot of questions here. I'm going to leave it up to there. How do you get to Miami and train? The way to do it is Fall Cane Immersion is now September 23rd through the 26th. Let me say something about that. If you're doing it online, that's one thing, but even there, you know that I like to work with a maximum number of caners online and in person, because I consider those of you that are doing online, you're just like if you were here. Those of you that have done it, you know it. Okay, we do put a limit on that. But if you want to come down to Miami to do that, I have some spots remaining. It's 70% full right now. Let's have a conversation, because you can't just enroll and pay for that. I need to know who you are. That's how we keep a very happy environment. Okay, it's a very happy place, ACSD. Why? Because we keep quote unquote quality control. Okay, so look, a lot more questions here. I can't get to all of them. We're already almost 30 minutes into this thing. But hopefully I've addressed some of the questions that you have. Do me a favor, you can get me on there for a lot more than 5 minutes at no cost. Go ahead and text the letter CCC to the number on the screen. Let's have a conversation. Let's go ahead and do that. I want to thank you once again. I will share more with you the results of that, including what caners want to learn. We got a lot of valuable information. What you perceive as your greatest limitation, all these things were very valuable, and they took less than 2 minutes. Okay, I'll probably have another one for you soon, because it was so well. Thank you in advance for that, and let me know.